After giving me a glass of water, he reminded me that I was under caution and that the interview was to be recorded. "I need you to tell me in your own words exactly what happened at Ingleton Manor on the 18th of July that led you and Peter Granger to pursue Mr. Duguid along the Gainford Road towards Ingleton with a loaded firearm." Well, we were all having a celebration meal. Things were starting to get better. Well, they were at the manor. Kaz, Pauline and Will were clearing the table. Michelle and Alan were tucking into a second plate of lemon sole. The rest of us were just chatting, having a good time. Oh, and waiting for the dessert to arrive. At the far end of the table, Maureen suddenly stood up. "Those damn pigeons keep tapping away at the window," she said. She headed straight to the glass door, behind heavy cream curtains. She flung one of them open, just to scare the birds away. Sarah laughed. "Oh, Maureen, you can hardly hear them. Let them be." What happened next, it's not etched into my memory. It's more burnt like a brand. Nothing can stop me recalling every single detail over and over again. Tom tapped me on the arm. He whispered, "I see Maureen is still a lovable eccentric." But I ignored that because Maureen was just standing as if frozen. She was just staring blankly straight out into the darkness. Then the explosion. Both curtains billowed right up, almost to the ceiling, and were splashed with red. While Maureen started to fall straight backwards, I became aware of the expanding and billowing plume of white smoke and thousands of fragments of glass that were flying through the air, bouncing off the walls and raining on the far side of the table. I don't actually remember hearing the sound. I felt it like a shockwave, and my ears, they hurt. Maureen hit the floor heavily. She made no attempt to break her fall. Peter, who was nearest to Maureen, put his hands over his head and flattened himself against the table, while Sarah and her chair fell over towards Kaz. She'd just emerged through the door carrying a huge red, orange and yellow jelly. She fell backwards too as a flying glass tore into the jelly she held out in front of her. I still wonder if time hadn't somehow slowed down. I can vividly remember having the strangest of thoughts as all this chaos unfolded before me. I was actually thankful. Thankful that Maureen hadn't put her hands up to where her face had been. She never got to feel and see what I had. That her chin, cheeks, nose, eyes were all blasted away, obliterated in an instant. Also that she hadn't tried to break a fall, meaning that Maureen was either dead or at least unconscious, so she felt no pain. As the smell of the gunpowder reached my nostrils, I tried to assess who else may be injured. Peter was slowly raising his head off the table. He had cuts on his hand and to his cheek. I couldn't see Kaz, but hoped the jelly had protected her face and eyes from the flying glass. Then, unbelievably, I was thinking about getting a dustpan and brush to clear up all the broken glass, because it was dangerous. Alan was the first to actually act sensibly. He ran straight to the door leading towards the kitchen and slammed it shut, just as Paul and young Will appeared. He shouted something through the door. Michelle was still sitting, choking on her food, and looked terrified. Anne ran out of the door behind me. I think she was screaming. Her mouth was wide open and her eyes were filled with panic. Peter stood up, took a brief look at Maureen and grimaced. He shouted something to me and then went to help Sarah up. Sarah was so pale and she looked dazed and confused as she was led towards me. Alan was pulling Kaz up with the help from Peter. Jason ran past Peter. He put an arm out to try and stop him. Jason stood looking down at Maureen's body, almost promptly sick. Peter was shouting at me again, and then I realised that I was just standing motionless, being absolutely no help to anyone. Tom spun me round by my shoulders to face him, and he shouted, "Gun! Where's the gun?"